What's up, everybody? Bootsy Greenwood here, and we are talking about the Kybalion, one of the coolest books ever written. It's basically the tip of the iceberg for the New Age movement, and we're on this next idea, this natural law called cause and effect, right? We might know this also as karma, and we might also know it as like balancing forces. The idea is, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Every effect has a cause, and every cause has its effect. Something happens, it's a catalyst for something else to happen, right? I push a book off a shelf, it falls to the floor, it hits the floor. Cause and effect, very simple. However, there are a lot of causes that we simply don't know about, we are not aware of. There's a lot of things happening that are beyond our sphere of knowing, right? Beyond our ability to know. So, like for instance, why do bad things happen to good people? You know, when we think about karma, we think, oh, well, somebody didn't get their comeuppance, right? Like, he did this bad thing and he didn't get anything back for it. Well, first of all, you don't know that yet. And since there's so much outside of our awareness, this means that there's a lot that we just can't know. So there's a lot of things that are happening around us that we're unaware of. So the way that our destiny lines up, or the way that synchronicity happens, or outer intention, or whatever word you want to use for this principle of the world working with you, there's a lot of different ways that that can come about. There's a lot of different causes to these effects, and there are so many, right? Like, we see the immediate stuff, right? Like, I push the book off a shelf and it falls to the floor, right? We see that. Look, it's a book. But, you know, there's so many other things that are happening. Like, there might even be things that have happened even potentially in past lifetimes. But like, each one of these circles represents an event, something that happened that has to create an effect. These are causes that all create effects, right? Like, the reason the weather is the way it is today is because a bunch of causes stacked up on top of each other, and the weather is nice today, you know? Yesterday it rained. The day before that there was a storm. You know, the day before that it was cold, you know? And so these cycles have to continue, and there's all these different causes that create these different effects. There's a lot of things that are on autopilot, right? And then there are some things that we can consciously control in the third dimension. But there are also causes and effects in the metaphysical space as well, right? So there are causes to our effects. So why do bad things happen to good people? Well, a lot of good people expect to be taken advantage of. It's part of their mindset. It's the way they've been trained. It's their beliefs about the world that they're being reflected back. Their cause is their own belief system, and the effect is the things that are happening. So just a simple example, I'm about to go out of town for about 2 months. So I am like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be empty. This house is going to be empty. What am I going to do? I usually Airbnb it, but I've recently had some cool artwork put in. My friend Wendy actually painted some murals and stuff, and I've got some really cool new decor and stuff like that. So I wanted to relist my property on Airbnb and all of this. But I actually found someone who is between places, and they need a place to stay for 2 months, which is perfect. So I'm just going to have them stay here. I don't have to relist my place and wonder if it, you know, rents on Airbnb or not. It's cool if it does, and often in the past it has, but I'd rather have a bird in the hand, right? So I've got somebody who's gonna be staying here, and then I've got an empty room that they're gonna help me actually rent out the empty room. So not only do I have the place rented out for 2 months, but I have someone who's willing to help me rent the other room out and then make money on top of the rate that is covering my entire rent. So while I'm gone, you know, my house is covered, and all my living expenses here, even though I'm not here, are all paid for, which is great. Now, the causes are numerous to this, right? I wanted to have my rent covered while I was gone, and I wanted the world to help me with that. And I did the things that I needed to do, you know, taking pictures, cleaning the house, getting that listing up. But before I published the listing today, I got a phone call, and it was, hey, you know, I'm interested in a place to stay. And they had references, people that I knew, and they're a hardworking person, and they're gonna enjoy the space and treat it really well, and even help me Airbnb the place out while I'm gone, which is 10 times better than me putting the new listing up and maybe getting somebody. But all of these different effects have causes. And especially in the metaphysical, right? The all is mind, right? We learned in the first chapter, the all is mind. Everything comes from the mind first. So the causes are mostly mental things, ideas, thoughts, goals, things like that we're broadcasting out. And the world is listening. It's paying attention to everything that we are putting out there, and it's reflecting that back to us. You know, I have a very strong belief that the world takes care of me, and it does. Time and time again, it's just being proven more and more. And then the more you create that reality over and over again, the more you'll believe it, and the easier it is to do. So those causes and effects start to go on autopilot, and then you can start to stack different things and do, you know, more cool stuff, you know, and have the world represent you and reflect your reality back to you. For every cause, there is an effect. For every effect, it has a cause. And so it's really basic. That's really a simple idea. It's a really obvious natural law principle, and it's something that is good to keep in mind, right? So why do bad things happen to good people? Well, they have this belief that it will. They believe that they'll be taken advantage of because they're good. Now, if we shifted our belief to, I'm a good person, so I'm gonna find like-minded people who wanna work with me and be part of my life, well, that belief also starts to become true, because what is quantum physics but confirmation bias used to your advantage or disadvantage? It's up to you. These laws are happening constantly all the time. And whether or not you pay attention to them or not is up to you. So you can watch these principles play out and witness them time and time again. And whether or not you participate in the game is totally up to you. Just understanding that you are at the cause. You do have free will, but there's also determinism involved. Okay? So all of these effects, which were circles represented, have stacked up and stacked up and stacked up, and here we find ourselves, right? Like I found myself in this particular house because of a lot of things. Certain things were decisions that I personally made. Certain things were decisions that had nothing to do with, but other people's realities and other decisions and all these random causes that I cannot even begin to comprehend. So what's the point, right? Even past life causes, potentially, right? You know, don't mark me woo just yet, but I don't think anything's out of the question. So all of these things stacking up, you know, history over and over and over again, and humanity and all of the patterns that have stacked over time bring us to this point right now. You know, they're all based on causes. Like nothing happened for no reason. So it's a cool chapter. It's a simple idea, but we can really use it and broadcast it and use it to our advantage. And that's what we want to do. We know that every cause has an effect, and every effect is caused by something. So we want to put ourselves at the cause. Ideally, if we're at the cause, we control the outcome more than if we're at the effect, right? Now, we're always affected and we're always causing. It's whether or not we choose that higher perspective, the big eye in the sky, to watch over and track these things. So that's basically the gist of cause and effect. I am going to be gone for a couple months, guys, and I'll be missing you, but podcasts will be coming out, and I'm working on some really cool new projects. So please follow along if you can. Check me out on Patreon. I'll post something there really soon, and I really appreciate all the support, all the encouragement, all the love, and all of the comments and energy in any form or capacity, positive or negative. I appreciate it, even the haters. All right, I will see you guys on the next one, and I really appreciate your time. That's gonna do it for Cause and Effect. Check me out on Gumroad and all that stuff. I got links in the bottom.